4 stars are becoming less common in the gacha scene, especially in what many players call the Big Four of gacha. While Genshin Impact, and Zone Zero, and Wuthering Waves have thankfully released some new 4 stars in recent times, titles like Honkai Star Rail have gone over a whole year without adding a new 4 star. Even though we're getting more 4 stars recently in the other 3 titles, they have gone through long 4 star droughts themselves. Genshin Impact has been the best out of the 4, releasing 4 stars every 3-ish months or so. In fact, version 5 was a great time for 4 stars as we got additions like Kachina, Ionsen, Auroran, Ifa, and later Aino to kick off Luna 1. Zone Zero just recently got a 4 star with Minato, but prior to that, the last 4 star was Panyin, who in June of 2025, being almost a half-year gap. While Wuthering Waves is finally getting a new addition, prior to this was Lumi, was the most recent 4 star released in April of 2025. But the king of missing 4 stars goes to HSR, with the last 4 star being Mose, who released September 10th of last year. An entire new story featuring Amphoria's past players by without a single 4 star to join their journey. The role of 4 stars. 4 stars may not have the same power as 5 stars, but they contribute to the overall health of gacha games. These easier to obtain characters, we'll talk about the truth of that later, can fill in gaps in teams or act as replacement supports if you do not have the 5 star of the same role. For example, Xingqiu is a great hydro applicator in Genshin Impact. He was and still is fantastic unit for numerous teams. If he did not exist, then players would only get a similar hydro application if they pulled the 5 star Yelan. In Zone Zero, Rupture units are brand new as version 2. Right now, Yishuen and Yudhari are the only 5 star Rupture units, and Minato is the new 4 star unit. If you don't have any of the premium 5 stars, you can get Minato instead. Sometimes 4 stars can have meta importance too. Bennett, Xingqiu, Fischl, Xiangling, and Sucrose are all version 1 characters from Genshin Impact that are still picked to make good teams. While their 5 star counterparts usually do better, it's nice to have a strong 4 star unit to fill in your teams, especially for endgame modes that require you to build multiple teams or have numerous characters built. We also have to address the repetitive nature of 4 star characters. In these gacha titles, at least 2 4 star units run with a 5 star banner. You're more likely to encounter the same 4 star characters, allowing the opportunity to pull for dupes to make them stronger. Well, if you get lucky enough, that is. There's horror stories of people wanting a specific 4 star and pulling numerous 5 star banner units before getting a single copy of the 4 star they want. In that sense, 4 stars can be tougher to get as they are never really guaranteed. They just have rate ups. I remember when Genshin was in its early stages constantly seeing units like Noelle and Barbara. As the game continued, a 4 star named Kaveh would release, then disappear for over a year. It's unclear why certain characters get reran more often than others. Monetization. 4 stars simply do not bring the same amount of money that a 5 star can. In fact, they likely make a lot less. A lot of the times they will get a lot less attention in marketing and in the main story of the game. For example, Genshin Impact gives their 5 star units multiple teasers. 4 stars typically get 1 teaser and some drip marketing, then they call it good. These gacha titles understand that 4 stars for most players aren't the main course, but rather a side dish. As briefly touched upon, 4 stars are not guaranteed in these games. Whatever 4 stars are on the banner have a rate up, and you're eventually going to get one of the rated up 4 stars. However, you can be so unlucky to always get the other characters that you're not aiming for. This happened with me pretty badly when I was pulling for Yanfei. I got 3 copies of her on her first banner, but after that I failed to get Yanfei on almost every banner she rated up on. After playing the game for 5 years, I finally have my crowned queen at C6. Ugh. I believe a Daily Dahlia account went to 520 pulls and only got 4 copies of the character they had been waiting years for. That made their Dahlia C3. That's just insane to me. You'll find yourself at your 100th Bennett copy, but you can't get a Hazel copy to save your life. In these titles, you often have the opportunity to purchase 4 star units in the shop. In Genshin Impact, there's 4 stars you can buy, and they rotate throughout the months, but they've not updated this since launch. You can buy harder to get characters like Lisa, Amber, and Kaya, but all the 4 stars that have been released in the past 5 years are not obtainable through the shop. They just get thrown into the standard banner, and the more 4 stars get added to the standard banner, the harder it is to pull the specific one you're looking for. I'd love to be able to buy my first copy of Ifa through the shop. I had to refresh myself on Lula and HSR since I don't play anymore, but it looks like those games follow a similar pattern in that regard. In Zenless Zone Zero, however, you can buy any 4-star or A-rank agent through the shop. I cannot say that this is a monetization strategy for certain, but it makes me wonder if these games are hoping you'll pull on a banner you're not excited for to hunt for 4 stars that you want. If you accidentally get the unwanted 5-star in a hunt for a 4-star, you are more likely to dip into your wallet to get the next rated up 5-star that you do want. If you want to save your precious currency, you risk not getting the brand new 4-star for what could be a really long time. A good thing to note that building pity is typically a bad idea. If you aren't thrilled about the banner 5-star, just do not pull on it. It's not worth it, especially since a lot of these titles will give you free 4-star copies for completing events. You may have to wait a while, but that wait will be a lot more painful if you're waiting on a new 5-star that you missed. Then again, it's your game and you should have fun chasing whatever you'd like. With 4 stars, there is a delicate balance. If you make them too strong, they will overshadow the 5 stars. I'm using Genshin Impact for a lot of my examples, but it's the one I'm most familiar with. When Kazuha released, he was constantly called the 5-star Sucrose, as Sucrose can do a lot of his role pretty well. It wasn't until later that the community realized how good Kazuha was and how both of them were beneficial to teams. Think about Fischl, Xingqiu, Bennett, and Xiangling. They are all notoriously strong 4-stars that are still widely used 5 years later. On the flip side, if you make a 4-star too weak, well, they'll often be forgotten about by most players. Unless someone is an avid fan of said character, this 4-star will collect dust on the bench. Striking that balance of usefulness while not outshining 5 stars isn't easy. I think this is why we've started to see a trend of 4-stars being niche supports. We don't get as many 4-star DPSs, as these characters will always underperform the 5-star counterparts. Instead, we get a niche support that shines when you put them in the right team. Or, at the very least, the 4-star can serve as a placeholder until you get the premium 5-star unit that fills the same role. Right now, we have Aino from Genshin Impact, who's crucial to activating lunar reactions. I have a suspicion that Columbina will trump Aino once she releases, but for now, Aino is a staple for Nodcry teams. Chevreuse from Genshin Impact unlocks some powerful potential in overload teams, but struggles outside of them. Faruzan is a great support for Anemo DPS units. In Zenless Zone Zero, Minato is the only 4-star Rupture unit. Galagar proved to be strong 4-star support from Honkai Star Rail. There's another type of balance to consider, and that is just the ratio of 4 stars to 5 stars. In the big 4 gacha titles, 5 stars outnumber the 4 stars. The further this gap becomes, the less friendly the game feels. You'll begin to feel squeezed, thinking you have to constantly pull for the 5-star units to keep up. Options become more limited unless you get lucky or are willing to put in the money to keep up with the 5-star releases. Community appeal. Depending on the game, 4 stars may get more content than others, but that doesn't stop fans from having favorite characters in these 4 stars. You may see daily accounts on social media posting art and game screenshots of these characters. You may really want to connect with the 4-star character's backstory or personality. There's a reason why so many players were sad that Kaveh was gone between banners for so long. Kaveh is a great example of a well-loved 4-star that players get excited about whenever he gets screen time. I've been seeing a lot of these excited players with the recent Sumeru event in Luna 2, as he's in it. Even though 4 stars don't get the same marketing or story relevance, they still wiggle their way into the hearts of fans. That's why it can be so frustrating to have to skip banners with your favorite 4-star character because the main 5-star isn't that appealing to you. It can be tough to watch the banners roll by and your favorite rarely be featured. Thank goodness we have some incredible artists in the fandom that draw the characters that we know and love. However, sometimes the players can get attached to a 4-star so much that they get upset at their rarity. Minato is a prime example of this, as he was in the story before his official release. Many players expected him to be a 5-star, or in ZZZ they're called S and A rank agents, so they wanted him to be an S rank, but instead he turned out to be an A rank agent. The majority were upset that such a story-relevant character wasn't given a high ranking, while others were okay with this, as that meant there was a higher chance of getting duplicates. I pulled for Minato on Lucia's banner and ended up getting the S-rank agent, which is fine, but I only got maybe 2 Minato copies. Trying to get his W engine was worse as I kept getting Pipers. I have so many Piper W engines, please leave me alone. the future. Is there anything that can be done to save 4 stars other than just releasing more of them? This section is more so fun brainstorming as to ways I think we can give 4 stars some importance aside from just releasing more to help bridge gaps. First, skins are a great way to highlight older 4-star units. I actually think Genshin Impact handles this pretty well. Whenever they drop a new skin, there's one for a 4-star and one for a 5-star. You must pay for the 5-star character skin, but if you're around for the event the 4-star skin debuts in, you can earn it for free by playing. This is a great incentive for players to do these events and get a nice cool outfit in the process. I know whenever a 4-star unit got a skin, I always pull them out and play with them even if it's been a while. There's also the consideration of kit upgrades. If a 4-star is falling behind or becoming completely irrelevant, revisiting their kit can make them appealing again, or at the very least allow them to stand on their own 2 feet. Apparently there's word going around for Genshin that certain characters will be getting kit tweaks, and that's awesome. Zenless Zone Zero has already stated it will go back and adjust older units to keep up with the current game state. Though I'm not sure if they were referring exclusively to 5 stars with this comment, but nonetheless, I think that's a great idea. Bonus points if these kit upgrades are not just bigger numbers, but actual thoughtful improvements to the character in question. Another way we can make 4 stars more relevant is to give them time to tell their story. I understand that as a gacha game gets older, the more characters will be added to the roster. It will be impossible to give characters equal treatment to the main story. Instead, I want to propose the idea of giving 4 stars the spotlight for limited events. For example, the latest summer event in Genshin Impact featured Bennett and his story. It was great to see some of the fan theories come true and learn more about his origin. However, if you did not do the event or skipped it, you're not missing out on major story plot points for the most part. This would be a great way to highlight these characters while also keeping the main story concise and on track. Heck, you could do this in combo with new skins or upgrades to entice players to dust off their old units. Lastly, having more options to buy these 4 stars in shops with in-game currency should players be incredibly unlucky, or if they want to get dupes of their favorite 4-star. ZZZ is the only title out of the 4 big gacha games that lets you buy a 4-star or A-rank agent, but the rest of them follow a schedule that has been set in stone since launch. At the very least, adding new 4-star characters to the existing rotation can be beneficial in making these units more accessible to everyone. 4 stars are important to the health of a gacha game, and they often fill the gaps for players who may not have these premium shiny units. The less 4 stars there are, the more pressure builds to pull these premium units, which can lead to burnout. Sometimes players are content with getting 4 stars, and other times players are mad that certain characters like Minato from ZZZ or Eonsen from Genshin Impact were not 5 stars. It's an interesting discussion to listen into. I now want to know your thoughts. Do you think 4 stars should be released more often? Is it no big deal that we're not getting as many 4 stars anymore? I'm happy to read your thoughts in the comments as long as you remain respectful. If you enjoyed watching, please leave a like and consider subscribing. I have many other gacha related videos that you can watch next. I hope to see you again.